What's up, everyone? Welcome to my channel. I am Mark. You're watching Trading with a Dummy. I have another special guest over here. You wouldn't believe it. His name is Matt, but he goes by Stock Overflow. He has his own YouTube channel. It is small like mine's, but I love this guy's content. I came across his content over the summer, I believe, and he reminded me a lot of me, and that's the reason why I want to bring you on this channel, because you're a retail investor like me, and I think we have similar paths. I think you are awakening to some stuff that you've noticed recently. But one thing that stood out on your channel is the fact that you share your portfolio on a consistent basis.
Yes.
And you go over basically what you're buying, what you're not buying. So for my audience, so they get to know who you are, please tell people who you are.
Yeah. Hey, guys. So I'm Stock Overflow, but you guys can call me Matt. I started investing back in 2019. So I've throughout the mid 2010s and stuff, I've had decent paying jobs which pay out decent paying money, but I haven't really thought about investing until like 2019. I started, and I'm sure we can go into my lessons learned once we get to that. But I started investing in 2019. In 2020, I started my YouTube channel to sort of record my investing journey, and so people can follow me, whether everything I do well, everything I do poorly. And the idea is that over the years, I give my opinions on things and I share what I've learned along the way. I mean, I didn't know when I started the channel that 2020 was going to hit and everything is going crazy. But I guess that just makes things a little bit more interesting. So.
Yeah. So on 2020, did you feel pretty confident when the market was going up and all your stocks were going up no matter what you got?
So yeah, kind of. And it was very interesting because I started so I started the channel in 2020. I started in February of 2020. Right in February. So I had about 2 weeks of good times. Everything crashed. And then, the Fed did their thing. And yeah, 2020, I saw my portfolio going up and up and up. I was a bit cautious, and I mean, given everything that transpired since, rightfully so. But yeah, 2020, everything would look great, obviously, because the Fed was doing their thing. 2021 hit, and then things is sort of, everyone began to feel it. But as a long-term investor, I mean, it's a drop in the bucket, and it's a buying opportunity. Now, it's been a year and a half buying opportunity, but it's a buying opportunity nonetheless.
Okay, so when you started in 2020, when the market completely dropped, did you freak out and sell a lot of your positions that you were in?
So when in 2020, I definitely freaked out. Yeah, I definitely freaked out. However, I did not sell out of a lot of my positions. As a matter of fact, I hold on. The good news about the thing in 2020 is that it was a lot, but it was, I guess, the brunt of it was over in like a month. I held on to most of my positions. I did panic sell a few stocks. I was new. I got rid of Nordstrom, which don't know if that was a good decision. Don't know if that wasn't, but I did. But no, most of my positions I held on to. A month later, the stocks started to recover, and at that time I felt pretty vindicated. Like it was a good like introduction to my channel and introduction into the market, and it really helped build a lot of discipline, which I would need, and the years to come after that.
Yes, because so you don't do this full time, right? This is like kind of like a hobby or like an investment opportunity. So like, what do you do for a living?
Yeah. So my first job, I'm a network engineer. I work for an enterprise company. I do tech stuff. I do IT stuff. Finance is not my background, which I think is, that's kind of part of it. That's kind of why I wanted to do the channel. Maybe so people can look at this as an example to see that you don't have to be a financial expert, and we're coming to find out. I mean, especially in these years and this is what I came to find out is that like all of these people who are financial experts are the not financial experts on YouTube, and the financial experts on like Yahoo Finance and Google News, like all of them, man, they got finance backgrounds, but every single like they seem to be clueless as to what's going on. Like none of them have a single idea what the stocks are going to do. So they're just as clueless as me. And so as far as I see it, we're in an even playing field.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree with you. So this also is not my full-time gig. I do trade on
Right.
the side.
Nice.
But so it's very interesting because I was kind of curious, like if you had like a finance background or not. Were you raised with a finance background at all? Like, I mean, not background, but did your
Right.
family ever speak to you about, finances, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, any of that stuff?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. None of my family and none of my friends, had much of an interest in any of that. It was so
Yeah.
basically, it was 2018 and stuff. 2018. So before I started investing, I did the whole, I'm 41 now. So back then I was in my late 30s, and I had the whole, getting my life together and all that stuff. And learning to invest happened to be one of it. And so I learned by getting on YouTube and watching. So everything that happened is mostly self-taught. It is mostly self-taught. I did take I mean,
Go
I
ahead,
did
say
take
it, say it, say
yeah, I'm gonna say it.
it.
I did take Jeremy's Financial Fortress back in 2019, actually, before I started the YouTube channel. I did take that.
Yeah.
I made a video about it, so I'm not shy about it, but it is the thing that I did.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually how I found you. I was like, let
nice.
me, because I hang out with a group of people who hate him,
Yeah.
and the meet Kevins and a lot of
Hmm.
people. So they're
Yeah.
like they call themselves. Well, they don't call themselves. I call them grifter slayers because their
Yeah.
whole channel is really about kind of putting a boot on their throat and every ridiculous thing they say and stuff, and hold
Yep.
them accountable for their bad
Absolutely.
advice. And I didn't really follow Jeremy, never really watched him.
Right.
And they kept mentioning him. So I was like, who is this guy? So I looked him up. I watched like one or two videos. I was like,
Right.
huh, I wonder who would take his course. So I was like, let me see who, if anyone like has like a review on him. And that's
Right.
how I came across your channel. And your
Hmm.
video was super old, so I didn't judge you off of that. I was like, the video was old.
Thanks.
So
Yeah.
I was like, huh, this is
Yeah.
interesting. Let me see how he progressed from there. And then I started watching your YouTube content. But it was very interesting because your review was actually pretty positive.
Yeah. So I try to keep things in a positive light. So here's the thing about the Jeremy's Financial Fortress. I enjoyed my time there. I can't say that I didn't. Now keep in mind this I took this in 2019, so I
Yeah, it's before the bull
barely knew
run.
anything about investing.
Mhm.
Yeah, barely knew anything about investing. I did enjoy my time there, and the classes and stuff. They taught a lot about they taught about a lot about, I guess, the very basics of getting your I guess the how the more important part is the when you first start investing, like for the first few months, just to get used to the act of investing, stuff about discipline and all that stuff. And like I said, I did enjoy my time there. However, I would like to add that the amount I paid for it was like I paid under a grand for it, because during the time it was a grand, and there was a sale. I only bought it for $500. Um,
Okay.
Now looking back afterwards, after and this was before he did the coaching or anything like that.
Hmm.
Now looking back, I wasn't appreciated of the price hike. I mean, and looking back even now from present, yeah, it's pretty clear that I could have gotten a lot of that stuff, like especially the discipline and stuff. I could have done that for free. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, and that I did enjoy the course when I took it. However, I mean, knowing what I know now, this is most of the stuff you learn in that course is stuff that you can learn for free out there on YouTube, or just by getting your own investing experience and going out
Hmm.
there, putting your real money on the table, winning, losing, and learning from your mistakes.
Okay. And then when you say they taught you, so it was like multiple people in the group?
So the I guess the private stock, financial fortunes was sort of two things. There was the whole Jeremy course thing, right? Then there was the Discord. The Discord was probably, that was an interesting part because you had a bunch of different people there people that were new, and people that claimed to be investing for years and stuff like that. So
Mm.
there was some community to be had there. I mean, I didn't really get into all that, but I mean, they shared their opinions, and I got throughout. Then I learned some soft skills as far as investing and as far as buying and holding and stuff like that. So Jeremy, yeah, he did the coaching and stuff like. Well, not the. I mean, it wasn't direct coaching. It was watching videos and stuff. And then there was the Discord, which they had the community, and I learned
Hmm.
stuff from bits and pieces from just watching them how they do things.
So you don't actually get taught by him. You don't actually interact with him at all.
No, no, you do not. No, 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 no. He is active. He is active. He was active in Discord, but there was no direct teaching from him at all. So if there's any kind of ad from that, no. I know he does coaching now, which I never got involved in. And I have no plans of getting involved in. So I don't know what the coaching. I think he has a team that does that, but I'm
Mm.
not going to find out.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's what I'm saying. I feel like you went down a similar path as I
Yeah.
did. I also joined a group in the
Yep.
past. Same thing. Loved the community at first. Things were pretty
Yeah.
good, but then eventually I got caught onto the hustle, and they changed
Yeah.
their whole group and the way they were operating, and it just became more about like a cash grab more than
Yeah.
anything. And then same thing, like you said, I'm assuming that once you left the group and you kind of on your own is when you really started learning more about, oh, this
Yes.
is some basic knowledge I could have just learned myself.
Uh,
That's
yeah.
yep. That's basically the same boat
Absolutely.
that I was in. Same boat I
Yeah.
was in. So
Yeah. Everything, because basically, like everything. Most. I mean, if you guys are watching this and you guys are investing, anyone watching this on YouTube, like over time, like once you start losing your money, especially in this market, like especially like we've been in like a bear market in some capacity for about a year and a half. Like this right here will teach you some discipline. Like, and
mhm.
especially like now, let's say you were in the crypto and you were feeling good in 2020, back when everything was like after and later 2020 when everything was great. Well, you learned your lesson now. I mean, you learned a lot
Yeah.
about discipline. Like, yeah. So all this stuff, yeah, I could have learned on my own, and I'm knowing that now. I mean, yeah, I could have learned it on my own.
Got
Yeah.
you. But at least I try to always kind of look somewhat on the bright side of things. Like at least it got you interested in the stock market, right? That's
Yes.
kind of how I see it somewhat, like regardless of the bad experience that I had
Mhm.
later on, or the
Yep.
fact that I find out like, oh, you guys are kind of taking advantage of the community.
Yep.
I still learned something which was that got me interested in the stock market to do my own research. And in
Yep.
fact, I would say I've actually once I departed and getting away from relying on other people so much
Yep.
is really where I feel like I started to get a lot better at investing. And so like yeah, so let's talk about your portfolio a little bit because I looked through
Yeah.
your portfolio. You have so you and I would say that's probably the one difference between you and I. I feel like you
Yeah.
have some questionable stuff in your portfolio.
Okay.
So but I know you're really passionate about a stock called Givo. Givo?
Chivo. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what made you get into that? Because
Okay.
it seems like you're married to that stock, right?
Yeah, yeah. I talk. Yeah, I make a lot of videos on it. Yeah. So Jivo is a company that I mean, if you look at their financial performance for the past 10 years, has been god awful. It is a
Yeah.
absolutely terrible company. Like its performance is absolutely awful. Like there is a I mean, there are websites you can go to where that says something to the length of if you invested in Jiva when it IPO'd in 2011, if you invested $10,000, you would have like 52 cents now. That's how
Jesus.
bad they've done, and I'm aware of that. And if I was investing in if I was invested in Jiva in the 2010s, I'd want nothing to do with them. And if you
Mhm.
invested in Jiva in the 2010s, I could see how you want nothing to do with them. Now the thing with Jivo, and in my opinion, is that in the past couple of years, they have a they got signed on by a bunch of different big name companies, airlines like Delta, Trafigura, SAS, American Airlines recently signed, and stuff like that. And these are like it's contracts, so Jivo doesn't have to go out and find them or anything like that. These are customers that have already signed on. They've already pledged the money, and we're talking according to their presentation like 10 billion, blah blah blah, right? And the only thing Jivo has to do is build the net zero one plant, which is the that's the plant that they're going to house to build all the SAF, right? Renewable air
Mhm.
fuel. That's what they do. In 2025, that goes online, and then the contracts get honored, and we're talking 2.6 billion in revenue, which compared to where they are now, is, I mean, light years ahead. And I think that there is some gain to be had. However, and I do make a lot of videos about Jivo, and you know, there's an audience for it, so that's
Mhm.
part of the reason. Um,
Okay.
is th- However, and this is something recently I've said this in more of my recent videos is I don't it's still a spec stock because it still has to do it right. Jivo
Mhm.
still has to build the plant. If it gets delayed, if they don't build the plant, then that's bad news bears. So Giro remains, as much as I talk about it, and I've said this, it still remains a spec stock. And the amount of money I put in the Jivo is the amount of money that I don't plan on adding to it. So I'm not building it. I'm not anything like that. It's gonna be there. And right now I'm focusing on, cash paying positions and stuff like that. But that's my opinion on Jivo. I think it's got a lot of promise ahead of it, and it's got a bunch a bunch of customers who have already signed on. It doesn't have to go look for it. I just feel that the only thing Jivo has to do is build the plant, which it's in process right now. And yeah, I think I have positive feelings about it. So.
What made you get into that? Like, how did you even find that stock?
How did I even find that stock? I mean, back in 2021, I was just looking through. I was just looking, perusing through. I don't quite remember where I found Jibo stock exactly. Where I originally. I mean, there was a period where I was just looking for stocks. Just looking
Mhm.
through different companies. I got myself into the renewable space. I looked through different companies like that. Um, I was also involved in a company called Hylian, which I regret. And then Jibo came up, and at first I looked through their fundamentals and I wrote them off. Didn't want to do it, but at some point later on, I just looked through looked through the presentation, looked through a deeper dive, and I felt that it was, there might be something with this.
So
So
it's
yeah,
so you fell in love with the story of where it could
yeah,
basically go. Okay,
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
it sounds very familiar to like I've had. I don't know if you know who Amit is. He has like a Palantir channel, or like Tom
yeah.
Nash.
Yep,
Okay, yeah. So I spoke to them, and they have a real strong conviction on Palantir. I don't.
yeah.
I hate it.
Right,
But the
right,
software is amazing because
right.
my background is intelligence, so the
Nice.
software is amazing what it does for the government. I just hate the company in general,
Right.
and but it seems like you have a very strong conviction, like just like the Palantir group, they have the same community as like people that like, no matter they will ride or die with this. Is that
Right.
how the Jivo community is as well?
Uh, yeah. Yeah. I would say so. Now I try even with stocks I have high conviction of it. I try to be as fair as possible, even though even though I do have a bias. I try to be as fair as possible. One thing I try to make sure I do on my channel is that if Jivo screws up, I don't pretend it doesn't. Like
Gotcha.
Jivo's performance over the past year has been absolute garbage. Now now the story is that, I mean, the things that are supposed to happen aren't supposed to happen for a few years, but I mean, the Jivo has been. I mean, I'm very honest with how Jivo's going, and sometimes the diehard community does not. I mean,
They don't like
and yeah. To be honest, I've noticed that with lots of different these diehard communities, such as back in the day, Hylian stock.
Mhm.
Back when I was into that, like anything it, even when I was into it, anything negative, I'd say just everyone just piling. Oh no, that's not true. That's not true, right? And
Mm.
so every community around these growing stocks, I feel they got people who are a little bit too diehard on it, and
Mhm.
I try to force myself not to get into it that deeply because I want to be able to make an objectionable I want to be able to make decisions about it at least as non-biased as I can be. So if Jivo, for example, let's say next year Jivo delays the plant, right? Okay, that's bad. That's bad news, Bears. I'm not going to sit here and pretend come up with a reason why it's a good thing. If Jivo screws up, that screws up. And the good part about my channel is that since I show my portfolio every single week, like you guys can just watch my portfolio and you'll see if I do well or not. And
Mhm.
that's why I try to be very transparent about my feelings and stuff like that. So yeah, Jivo, yeah, I love it. I love the stock. I mean, but I'm not afraid to say, I'm not afraid to say, when things go badly for them.
Yeah, and because what's your average price on that?
Oh, see, right now my average price on Jivo is is 448. That's where it is right now, and it's right now it's hugging two. Right now it's hugging $2. So
Ooh,
you
okay,
know,
yeah.
yeah,
Got you.
yeah, it's got to. And again, I'm not adding the position.
Yeah,
What will be will be.
yeah, I saw you in the last episode. That's when I was like earlier this week. That's why I was like, oh, this would be perfect time to talk to you now.
Yep,
It seemed like you kind of had this epiphany where you're like, man, I invested in some stocks that maybe I shouldn't have, and now I
yep,
should just kind of go more to the index route. Where
yes,
it sounded like that's when you were like, I'm not adding any more to Givo.
yep.
I'm going to start leaning more towards just going the ETF route.
Yeah, yeah, and that's I mean, and that's I've noticed that too. Is I'm starting to become bit more conservative over time because like I said, this 2021, 2022, it's been a very informative experience for all of us. And
Hmm.
we have YouTubers who got famous in the late 2010s during the greatest bull market and blah blah blah, right? And we got realities beginning to hit home for them, and like we we can't really just be in all these like high growth, high risk, high reward stocks. And so I feel that I need to conservatize my portfolio,
Hmm.
a little bit more, maybe a lot more. So I'm starting the very slow process of doing that. I still believe in individual stocks, and I will probably hold about 5 or 6 left when I'm done. I don't know which ones they're going to be, but the ones I invest in are going to be, at least from here on out, are going to be cash flow positive, companies that actually have PEs, that actually have profits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick to them for now on. I'm going to hold Jivo, like I said, but as far as spec stocks, I think I've had my fill of them. So everything from here on out is going to be, like Google I invested in. Probably going to stay invested in Meta. We'll see what happens with the metaverse thing. I opened I started VOO, which is a Vanguard ETF.
Hmm.
It tracks the S&P 500, and eventually I'm gonna have five. So I'm gonna have 5 or 6 individual stocks, and then I'll have SCHD, and then I'll have VOO. And I'd like to have those ETFs be the largest portion of the portfolio once everything is said and done.
So on your channel, when you the portfolio that you share, is that the only portfolio you have?
So I also have what I don't show. I technically have well, I have a Vanguard, but that's just my Roth IRA, and then
Okay.
I have a 401k with my work. So
Good
I
job.
am
Okay.
yeah. So I'm staying conservative. Like it's not like everything I'm throwing everything at this portfolio.
Hmm.
I have an emergency fund. I have cash in the bank. I I have a Roth IRA. I have a 401k. So I got all that straightened, and then the fund money that I can spend goes in a Fidelity portfolio.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm glad you said that because
Yeah.
I think that's what probably separates a lot of retail
Yep.
investors from, I
Yep.
would say, us, because it sounds like you and I are actually the same position, right?
Yep.
I have a Roth, I have a 401k with my job now.
Yep.
I actually just opened up a Fidelity account where I'm only going to do dividend stocks moving
Yep.
forward. So I don't share those on my channel at all. When I started sharing, is my individual stocks portfolio, which has my play money in it.
Yep.
And yes, I'm down significantly. There's no ifs or buts
Yep.
about it. It's not because I invested in crazy growth stocks. I over leveraged a lot in options trading. And I Meta and Square were my biggest holdings in that portfolio. And we, Square went from 195 to 50 some dollars, and Meta went from $300 to $100. So I'm kind of screwed. In fact, I actually sold out of Square. That was my biggest loss I've ever taken on stocks. And I'm holding Meta because I do still believe in it. Do I think it's going to go back to $300 anytime soon? Probably not. And I'm not dollar cost averaging at this point either right now because of the macro and the microeconomics and things that the company is facing, et cetera. Now, I heard there's some rumors going around that he may step down as CEO. I think that would be good for Meta, personally. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's funny because it sounds like, again, you got into a lot of speculative plays a couple of years ago. And I also did. I think the difference between you and I cut my losses real quick. You kind of held on to them.
I held on to them.
Yeah, because I was into Lemonade.
Yeah.
Just before me, Kevin even talked about it. It was Lemonade. I was just trying to find up and coming stocks that looked like they had potential. I was in Lemonade, AI 3 AI, which is the artificial intelligence company. I was, of course, in all the ARCs.
Yep.
I regret that one.
I was in the ARC. Yeah.
And then what else did I? There was another one. Blend Labs Technology, which sounded really good, and I took an L on that one. And Honest, believe it or not, Honest was one that I got into when it IPO'd. My wife just happened to look over me and she's like, "Hey, did you hear that Honest is going to IPO?" I was like, "Oh, we like that product." She's like, "Yeah." She said, "I know nothing about it. Just here's $4K." She gave me $4,000 on her money, and I'll put it all into Honest. That was I got listen. I traded a few times, but we definitely I did lose half our portfolio off of Honest, and I regret. After that, I was like, "Yo, I'm done doing dumb decisions like that. Never again. The company has to be profitable. I'm not investing into IPO companies anymore." So I've been a lot more conservative on that path. But I really respect the fact that you're willing to put your portfolio out there no matter what anybody says. Do you ever get hate on that at all? Like, "Hey, you're so stupid. I can't believe you invested in X, Y, and Z."
Yeah, all the time. That I mean, when you make the decision to put your portfolio out there every week, that's what you sign up for. I mean, you sign up. Now, it's not a lot. I mean, but mostly it's usually when I talk negatively about certain stocks. That's when the hate roars in. But sometimes I get a little bit of hate on stocks I'm interested in. Like, Jibo, I can understand where that comes from. Perfectly understandable. I got some about AT&T. I got some about Meta. I got some. Those are the ones I can think of right now. I do. And like whenever interesting story. Interesting to me. I talked about in February. I made a few videos about a penny stock called Galaxy, which ended up being one of my most popular videos for bad reasons because so much hate. It actually, I think there was enough of that it actually got me monetized. Like that was a video that it was such a notorious video. I got a lot of that. Now since then, Galaxy has dropped at least 80%, so I feel a little vindicated. But yeah, I've gotten tons of hate, and I'll probably get tons of hate as I move away from a lot of these high growth, high spec stocks and into something more conservative. I'll probably get a little bit from that. But yeah, that's just the name of the game when it comes to putting your portfolio out there like as much as I do.
Since you listened to a lot of these famous YouTubers at that time, and like Joy and Jeremy, did you ever follow into any of their stocks? Like, did you buy any of them that they recommended or talked about?
Actually, to be perfectly honest with you, no, I actually did not. The only one that the only one I may have, and I don't know if it was me or Jeremy because I was interested too, was the Nordstrom thing, was the Nordstrom stock, but that was way back in 2019. I think I bought it around then. But other than that, no, I didn't buy TTCF. Like I honestly, ever since I got out of the financial fortress and stuff. But what I usually do by default is I listen to a lot of YouTubers because I find them entertaining, and I like listening to different viewpoints. The ones that differ from my own. Um, but but as far as actually taking their advice, the very first thing I do when they recommend a stock or anything like that, the very first thing I do is doubt. I stop. I look into it. I look into my own, and then I make a decision. And usually that decision is not to buy it. So no. I actually haven't followed any of their any of their stock picks. Um, but yeah, and honestly, I feel a lot better for it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely made a good choice on that one for sure.
Yep. Yep.
Luckily, I would say this, like at least the groups that I was part of, they never really
Mhm.
pitched the speculative stocks.
Yeah.
I usually always heard Meet Kevin, because I was an avid Meet Kevin watcher
Right.
initially,
Mhm.
because I followed him way before he
Mhm.
became the governor or tried to become the governor and got into the finance world. He was always the real
Right.
estate guy, hunting
Mhm.
down Grant Cardone. That was like, I enjoy that Meet Kevin. I was like,
Right.
that was hilarious.
Mhm.
And then somehow he just morphed into something else. I don't know. So I'm not the
Yeah.
biggest fan of his. I don't have as much hate for him like some people do.
Mhm.
In fact, honestly, I would say I know he started getting a lot of hate when he sold his entire portfolio in January, and I would
Yeah.
actually say that was really smart because we see where the
Mhm.
market went. I don't know if he ended up buying again. I don't follow him
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
But that was actually a pretty smart move to sell all your stuff in January before the market completely collapsed. Now,
Yeah.
moving forward, so you got AT&T. That's interesting. Did you buy when it was too high?
So AT&T I bought as a dividend stock.
Mhm.
The role is dividends, so I didn't pay too much of the price. My strategy with AT&T is I would put in a set amount no matter what the price is. So I don't remember when I got in on. I got in about um I think it was I think I got in late 20s or early 30s, and it was doing well until it made the announcement about the Warner Media thing, and
Separation, yeah.
yeah, the separation. Yeah, but I was pretty bitter about that, but I stuck with them, and honestly, I'm pretty glad that I did. They're inching their way back. I mean, I'm still get they're still paying out the dividends,
Mhm.
and I'm very slowly inching it's very slowly inching its way back in the profitability. In the meantime, I'm still collecting dividends in that. So yeah, I'm pretty glad I held on to AT&T so far, and I don't have any immediate reason to get rid of them. And like I said, they pay well on dividends.
Is there a reason you went with AT&T instead of Verizon?
So funny story. No, there wasn't a reason. So to be perfectly honest, AT&T was the first company I looked at, as far as a stock. Now I'm actually a Verizon customer, but I think at the time I took AT&T, and later on I also I also bought Verizon the sort of hedge. So I have AT&T, more AT&T, but I also have some Verizon just to see, just sort of hedge in case one wins and one doesn't. I can sort of fold into the winner. But
They both went down. Yeah.
yeah, they both went down. So right now I'm holding both.
Mhm.
So I mean, I right now AT&T is a little further ahead as far as their latest earnings. I know Verizon's losing some customers, but
Mhm.
I'm not too worried about that in the long term. Like once this market economy gets right, I mean, I'm pretty sure both of them are gonna bounce back. They're big enough companies, and yeah. So I'll probably hold on to both of them. Now, am what I might do down the line is either AT&T or Verizon. I might fold one of them into SHD because even down the line. I mean, I don't want to hold two stocks in the same sector.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna fold
I
one of
get
them
that.
in the SHD, and it might be Verizon since I think SHD also has Verizon on it. So I could still vicariously support them, but I haven't really thought that entirely through just yet.
Yeah, AT&T is very, very, very interesting story with that one because it seems like every person I speak to,
Mhm.
especially anyone who's
Yeah.
interested in dividend stocks, AT&T
Yeah.
was always the first one. I had AT&T as well.
Yep.
Like I'm not gonna even front. I had it when it was
Mhm.
$28.
Yep.
It went to like 30 something, but I
Mhm.
was also very cautious with AT&T. I had a
Yeah.
stop limit that where I bought in at like maybe
Yep.
5 cents over. If I ever hit
Mhm.
that, I was gonna sell my shares, and it did. Then I
Mhm.
rebought in again at
Mhm.
when it was $18 and it was going
Oh,
up. I was like,
nice.
cool, because I was like, I knew the levels, and I was like, okay, $18 is a pretty low level. If it holds
Right.
here, I have a good feeling that there's a lot of buyers there. So
Mhm.
I bought AT&T in the 18s, and I kept adding on. I was
Mhm.
close to, I think, 40 or 50 shares because I wanted to get 100. That was my goal. But
Nice.
then that earnings came out again, and I had my stop
Yeah.
limit there, and it hit
Yep.
my stop. So all my
Yep.
shares sold, and then it dropped down to like 15 or $16. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm done. I was like, I'm done with AT&T. Like
Right.
this drives me nuts. It's crazy that it
Yep.
fell like that drastically because I wanted to really like it. And then
Yeah.
luckily, honestly, I was thinking about like I was like, well, since I sold AT&T, I might just do Verizon. And then I was like, let me
Sure.
just wait for
Yeah.
the earnings. And the
Right.
earnings came out, and that one just did terrible too.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah. Them was
honestly,
the
what I always
breaks.
liked, what I always liked was honestly T-Mobile. So my
Mhm.
instinct was right. I should have always went with T-Mobile. It
Yeah.
doesn't have any dividends. That's the only reason I didn't do it. But
Yep.
if you look at all of them, T-Mobile is the stronger candidate, and it clearly
They
has
are.
shown that it's the stronger candidate because it
Yeah.
also has exposure overseas. Because I'm from Germany,
Yep.
T-Mobile
Mhm.
is like the main. T-Mobile is like the Verizon over there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, out of the three, T-Mobile is definitely, yeah, it is, yeah, it's definitely winning right now. Yeah,
yeah,
it's doing really well. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So moving forward, I know you said you're gonna move most of your stuff into your like ETFs and stuff like that.
Right.
Are you still? Do you have like a set amount maybe that you're gonna start putting towards still individual stocks each year, or are you
Mhm.
just completely kind of done with doing that and you're just gonna focus more on the index route?
That's a good question. I don't want to stay away. So I don't want to go completely into ETFs. I still want to keep about 5 or 6 positions. As far as the amount, I'm gonna put in those positions. I don't have anything set yet. Like
Okay.
I'd like to have, for example, I'd like to have. I mean, AT&T. I want to have at least 5 figures invested, which I do. I want to have Google and Meta. Google, I want to have 5 figures invested. I want to get that at least $10,000 invested. Meta, we'll see what happens with that.
Hmm.
And then it, other than, I mean, beyond that, I mean, I'm just gonna, I mean, who knows? Because basically, Google is gonna be my primary individual stock. Meta is gonna be one of them. AT&T is going to be one of them, and then I'll have two. I'll have one spec, which will probably be Jiva for the time being, and
Yeah.
then who knows what the last one's going to be? Because like I mean I mean I still want one weird stock, one spec stock. I won't put any money in it. Like it'll sit there, it'll win or a loss. Either way, it's on me. But as far as that percentage, ETS versus uh, individual stocks. I haven't really thought that entirely through yet, but I'm sure I'll stumble into them out sooner or later.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of surprised. Are you
Mhm.
investing any like cybersecurity stocks or anything?
Cybersecurity stocks. I have not. I have not invested in cybersecurity. The only one I mean, there. Um, no, I actually haven't. And to be perfectly honest, I haven't thought about, which is very interesting since I'm a network
In
engineer.
IT,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. I haven't thought I invested in AT&T because I mean honestly AT&T is the closest thing to my field at network engineer AT&T telecommunications.
Mhm,
I invested in that. I did invest in Cisco until until I rolled that into SCHD because SCHD
mhm.
also invests in Cisco. Um, but no, as far as pure cybersecurity, I have not, and I don't have a good reason why. So maybe that's something I'll look into.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm looking to
yeah,
add one of them. I was going
yeah.
back and forth. I don't know if you know the YouTuber Staccato. Really
Mhm,
smart guy, man. I interviewed him. I think I'm dropping that here soon.
mhm,
He's him and I were talking about, Fortinet, Palo Alto, and
mhm.
CrowdStrike. I
Yeah,
like CrowdStrike, but my biggest issue with CrowdStrike is the fact that they're not profitable. And I feel a certain way
right.
now about companies that
Mhm,
are not profitable. It's not that they are that it can't get profitable. It's just I
Mhm.
know they're just not profitable right now. And a
Right.
question I want to start asking people, especially folks who invest into stocks that are down significantly, like
Yeah.
Jivo for you, right?
Yeah.
What like I guess the question was what was I going with this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of like I understand you like the story, but did you
Right.
ever ask yourself like why are they not profitable?
That is a so the well, the reason why Jivo is, yeah, I did ask myself that with Jivo, and in the past, I did do some searching into that, and why Jivo was not profitable. I got a very mixed story because it's mainly uh unfavorable commodities. They probably, I know they got some intellectual battles and stuff like that. But and some of them they probably it probably just wasn't run well back then. So yeah, not the best reason why they're not profitable. It doesn't really pay them in a good light. But I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I got
I
you. I
don't
got you.
yeah, I don't have a good reason. Look. I mean, I was young once back in, well, 2021 when I bought Chivo, but hey, yeah, it's a spec stock. I probably should have done some more research, but hey, here I am now. I still think as a I mean I still think has a good story ahead of it.
Mhm.
Fundamentals are absolutely garbage. Um, but yeah. To answer your question, no, I looked into it. It wasn't good. Uh, but I'm running with it. But
Yeah, no,
that's the truth.
trust me.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to give you a
yeah,
hard time. I was just thinking about it because like this, it's
yeah,
actually that's a question that I didn't ask myself enough when I started
yeah.
investing. It was like, well, I like these companies, they're not profitable, and I'm
Mhm.
like, well, my answer was always, it's a growth stock, it's brand new, but I need to
Yeah,
start looking like why are they not profitable,
yeah,
and it's kind of the question I want to ask the Palantir community as well. And I
yeah.
know that I know their answer is typically the same, but a lot of
Uh-huh.
times you got to kind of ask yourself like, why are they not profitable? Like
Right,
if they're such an amazing company, why are they not profitable? So
right.
it's kind of things we have to look at moving forward as investors, especially in
Yep,
the retail
absolutely.
investor side. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
Yep.
yeah. Is there any specific applications that you prefer to use when it comes to research?
When it comes to research, what I usually use is so while I'm at work, I use Yahoo Finance because
Mhm.
it's free. I can access it from a browser. I don't have to log into anything. I could just and a lot of information comes. I mean, I get most information from that. As far the Fidelity brokerage, it has a pretty good tool as far as getting all the information, P's and the story and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It has a lot of information that you can pull right there without having to go to other places. You can go to historical EPSs. You can go into the sector where you can compare like the sector, like the PE versus the sector P and all that stuff. It's
Mhm.
nice the where you can have it in one place. Um, I mainly use that. I mainly just use those two. But beyond that, I mean, I just go to the company. I just look through the 10K, look through the 10Q, and all that good stuff. And see this if it's a company that I think is, I think is worth investing. Nowadays, I'm looking for companies with positive cash flow. The revenues going up, growing, not shrinking. Um, but as far as apps, yeah, just Yahoo Finance, Fidelity, and that's it. Beyond that, it's just go to the company site, company information, stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of brokerages have a lot of good information
Yeah,
on it. That's why sometimes I have a hard time actually paying for any like services.
correct.
I'll pay for
Yeah.
TradingView, and for years I was like, why would I pay for
Hmm.
TradingView if I got TD Ameritrade? Like
Hmm.
why or any of those other ones? But then it just you can chart so much better on it, which is really weird. So
Right.
I was like, I'll pull the trigger and I bought it on a sale, I think for
Yep.
$99 for a year.
Hmm.
And I'm kind of in that same space right now with Seeking Alpha. I
Right.
like Seeking Alpha, and they got a sale going on, so I'm thinking about
Yep.
possibly pulling the trigger too. It's just that sometimes I'm like, I just feel like you get all that same information on the brokerages. Maybe it's just the
Yeah.
fact that they package it together a lot better than these brokerages. That's the reason
Yeah.
why I lean more towards them. Because there's
Yeah.
another app, and I encourage you to download this app. And yes, I'm an
Okay.
affiliate of it. It's
Okay.
called Simply Wall Street, completely free. You can look up 12 stocks a month for free, and if you want
Okay.
more, I mean, I think it's 12 or 20, one or the other. But if you want more, then you pay $20 a month or something like that, and
Okay.
it breaks it down pretty well. And I really like that application. But going back, like if you could go back in time, what would you have done differently on your journey?
Wow. If I could go, well, if I can go back time, what would I have done differently? Well, for starters, if going back in time, knowing what I know now, is that part of it? Yeah.
Yes,
So yeah,
absolutely.
going back in time with the knowledge I have now, with everything I know I have now, when I started investing, I would, I mean, first of all, I would tell myself, I mean, first of all, you don't have to you don't have to spend $500 on that financial fortress. You don't have to do that. There's no need to do that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I mean, the the few stocks I panic sold, like Nordstrom and stuff. Hold on to them. I tell myself to hold on to them. And
Is that
then
one
I
doing
would
like really
also
well or something? I don't know anything about Nordstrom. Is it doing
so
really well?
last I checked, it was doing well. It was. I mean, it was doing better than it was when I sold them. Sold it to
Okay.
much better than it was. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's yeah. And then I would probably tell myself. Now I don't know if 2019 me would listen, but I would try to tell myself to focus on companies that generate positive cash flow. Don't focus on these high growth companies, and these high growth, high risk, high reward companies that have that actually have PEs, that have rising revenue and stuff like that. Focus on that and just hold on to those stocks and don't do anything with them. I would focus, yeah, and then just I would try to gear myself to more conservative type and a little bit more conservative investing and not these high risk high reward. Oh, the stock is a 10xer kind of type of stuff. Um, that's what I would tell myself. Now, again, I don't know if I'd listen, but I would try. I would try to tell myself that.
Yeah, it's always hindsight 2020, right? So you never
Yeah,
know
absolutely.
what
Yep.
you would have done. So like if you could go back in time, another question, if you could go back in time, what would be the two stocks that you would have bought and just held on to and just keep investing into if you only had two that you could pick?
Well, knowing what I know now, it would be Tesla because you know what happened in Tesla. I
Mhm.
mean, I would, yeah, I would buy Tesla because I mean, hindsight. I mean, Tesla's sort of balloon. Even with as much as it fell now, it's still, yeah. I mean, I could have sold it and had enough money, taken the money from selling Tesla and then put it in something more conservative where that pays good dividends and yeah, I'd be fairly set. So it would probably be so Tesla would be one of them, and the second one that I wish I would have bought would probably be uh I would say Microsoft. I think Microsoft did really well, and well,
Yeah. Yeah, it was
yeah, it did,
2020
it
was
did, yeah,
199 and it went up to
yeah.
like 300. It's like 240 something now.
Yeah,
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 cuz
yeah. Microsoft, yeah, Microsoft was was a company I wish I would have gotten to back then. But yeah, those are the two stocks that come to mind. If I had more time to think about it, I could come up with more. But those are the two that's on the tip of my head.
Do you think you would have actually sold Tesla at the high?
That's actually a really good question. Because I mean that's some psychological stuff right there. Because
Mhm.
if I sold, like if I had that and I had what I mean, let's see. I'm trying to look at trying to remember Jeremy's portfolio. He's like a couple thousand% gains. So if I would have, yeah, would I have sold? Would I
Hard
have sold
question,
back?
right?
Yeah, it's a really difficult question. Would I have sold back then? Probably not. If I had that money now, like given right now, I'd like to tell myself I would have sold and rotated the money. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's an honest answer or not.
Yeah, no, I got you. So I'm
Yeah.
not a fan of Tesla at all.
Right.
I truly do believe that it's probably gonna go back down to pre-pandemic levels,
Okay.
60 between 60 and 80. But check
Mhm.
this out. I have a friend that I actually worked with.
Right.
Shout out to you, Martini, if you're watching.
Mhm.
He bought Tesla when it was dirt cheap before the boom, right? He bought a
Right.
whole bunch of
Uh-huh.
shares.
Mhm.
So he was sitting very, very nice. And I remember I was just telling him, I was like, dude, are you gonna ever sell? He's like, I don't really sell right now and stuff. And I think he ended up selling, I think 25% of his portfolio in Tesla when it was at 300. So he still did
Yeah.
pretty good,
Yeah.
because his average, I asked him once after all the splits and stuff, I was like, what is your average? It's like $46. So
Oh.
he's in a really, really good spot for that. And,
Yeah.
the reason why I asked you, like, if you would have sold, because I know this, especially on my beginning of my journey, we were always told as
Mhm.
investors, you buy and hold. You buy and
Right.
hold, and you just hold it 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in a complete different mindset now because I started doing some research, and besides
Mhm.
like the SPY, the S&P 500, a VO,
Mhm.
or whatever, but just like individual stocks in general, I'm not under that same mindset anymore. It's just buy good
Right.
quality companies and hold forever. And I tell you why.
Mhm.
Uh, I guess Facebook, for example, Meta is a
Mhm.
pure good
Yep.
example. It's back at its like 2000 and what, 15, 16
Mhm.
price or something. It's like something
Yeah.
ridiculous. So
Mhm.
imagine had you invested all this time and you're like, I'm up, I'm good. And now it's
Yeah.
right back there and you're at the beginning again. And so many
Yep.
stocks that happen to, I pay attention to Apple a lot because I
Mhm.
also trade it, but I have shares and I actually sold out of all my shares at 150.
Right.
I bought it like 130 or something. But like Apple has a cycle. It will go from 130 to 180,
Mhm.
back to 130 to 180,
Yep.
130, like it moves in such a span that it's very cyclical. And I
Yep.
think as an investor, yeah, there's no problem you investing into it and a dollar cost averaging.
Yeah.
But it does get kind of frustrating. If you bought at 140, goes to 180, now it's at 130. You're like, damn, you could
Yep.
have taken profit, kept that money on cash on the sidelines, and then bought again when it got lower. That's actually what
Yep.
I'm doing. I have my money sitting on the side waiting for Tesla to go to like 129 is where I think it's gonna go,
Right.
and then probably to 108. That's just me
Yep.
with my levels. I feel like I've been pretty good in this bearish market with my
Mhm.
levels.
Yep.
But I think people have to start looking that way because even Warren Buffett, he doesn't hold on to everything for the rest of his
Right.
life. He
Correct.
will reposition, he will get out of positions, he will
Mhm.
buy new stocks, so the sentiments need to change. And I think people need to start thinking that way instead of just thinking, oh, I bought Microsoft, so I'm going to hold it,
Mhm.
forever. If you look at Microsoft before 2020,
Mhm.
it kind of was flat for many, many years.
Yep.
So I think it's smart to take profit or at least shave off some of
Yeah.
your shares to take some profit so you don't get
Yep.
screwed at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I try. So, I mean, I haven't been investing long enough to realize that, but my goal is maybe 3 to 5 years. But I mean, in case, but unless the company gives me a reason to not to. Like, for example, and I'm looking back. For example, there are two stocks that I own now. One is Revolve, which is a clothing company, and then one of them
Okay.
is Tapestry. At the height of
Okay.
everything, Revolve was I was up about 500. I was almost 600% in Revolve, but I held on to it because you, that's what they teach you.
Yep.
And
Hold.
now I'm
Where is
yeah.
it at now?
I haven't checked recently, but I know it's under 100%. I know it's way under. Yeah, I know. So looking back, I probably could have taken some profits, but that's so yeah. I'm gonna do 3 to 5 years. However, like it's not a good place to get advice, but one thing that one good piece of advice I actually saw on Wall Street Bets, of all places, is if it's good enough to screenshot, it's good enough to sell. So,
That's a good idea.
if I ever get a stock that's up 500, 600%, yeah, at that point, yeah, I will take my profits. I mean, hey, I mean, I could hold on and I could be missing out on the gains, but I'm happy with 500, 600% profits. If I ever get look out and get that much again. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I've been in the same boat, man, with the options. Like my
yeah,
ARCs, I was up
yeah.
350 plus on most of
Right.
them. And
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't take profit on a lot of them. So I saw a lot of my unrealized gains just disappear. It
Right.
was really, really sad. Like I felt really, really confident in 2020.
Hmm.
2021, I still felt somewhat confident. 2022, not so much. But I actually learned a lot during
Yep.
2022. Bear markets really teach you a valuable lesson, which I feel like
Yeah.
probably a lot of people haven't learned because if you really look at it, for 13 years we've been in kind of a bull run,
Yep.
with
Absolutely.
2020 just being insane. So, and that's the reason why I wanted to sit down with you because like you
Mhm.
are a retail investor just like me.
Yep.
You have a channel that's very transparent
Yep.
and love your picks or don't love your picks. Like I like the fact that you're transparent and you're very
Yep.
honest and you're like, dude, like I've made mistakes too. I've done this.
Yep.
I married a stock that I maybe shouldn't have, or I invest in this I
Yep.
shouldn't have. I'm going to do this more.
Yep.
Like it's a learning process,
Mhm.
and I just feel like a lot of people are just exposed to seeing, I'm winning, I'm amazing, I'm this, I'm that, I know everything in the world, and
Yeah.
they don't really show you what's really behind the curtains. Like,
No, they
and
don't.
at the same time, when you also, which is honestly a red flag, and I caught on to this really quick. Like I started going on like the Jeremy videos, like I was telling you, when you start seeing these people talking about, I lost $3 million, you probably shouldn't be taking advice from these people. I'm just saying, like, you shouldn't
Yeah.
be taking advice from people who have lost millions of dollars
Yeah.
because they were just being reckless, or like the tattoo chef. I know that's like Jeremy's thing, right? The tattoo chef.
Yeah.
Was he
Yeah.
into that when you were in that group? Was he really into tattoo chef at that time?
Let me think. I don't remember if he started that before or after I left the group, but it was probably at towards the end. It was Planet 13. It was
Oh yeah, Planet 13.
yeah, I know. It was a bunch of other stuff. Now keep in mind that this was also before he started really getting into, well, I guess crypto, or at least shilling for it with
Mhm.
Voyager and
Yeah, all
and
those.
yeah, and FTX and stuff like that. But no, like, I mean, I don't know if this is an excuse or not, but he wasn't always like this. Well, at least when I was in there, like his choices were pretty like were I thought they were pretty conservative at the time. But
Mhm.
just like a lot of these other YouTubers out there, they they uh uh, they get caught up in their own success. Sometimes they make riskier and riskier plays as time goes on because
Yeah.
they they think they could do no wrong, and then reality hits.
Yeah, no, I agree with you because
Yeah,
Andre Jik is a person I started watching. I actually did a reaction
yeah,
video I'm gonna drop here soon.
yeah.
I found like an old video. It showed like why I'm stopping why am I stopping to invest in dividend stocks, something like that.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I remember I was like, oh yeah, I remember when I first started watching him back, like right
yeah,
before 2020. I was like, yeah, he was a dividend guy. I forgot all about that. Like he
yeah,
was all about dividend. And I remember I liked it to listen to like his dividend portfolio. And then 2020 hits, and then it was NFTs and cryptos and all this weird stuff. And I was
yeah,
like, man, he definitely changed too. And it's kind of sad because I'm like, man, like me, Kevin kind of changed. And then Andre Jick, I feel like kind of
yep.
changed with his strategy. Like I said, never really watched Jeremy. And then
Hmm.
Graham Stephan, I feel like always stayed very, very much the same, very
Yeah,
conservative.
yeah,
So
yep,
like, that was like the
yeah,
one guy I would say kind of stayed the same. It
yep.
sucks that the FTX stuff happened. It literally just kind of exposed everyone
Yeah.
within this space. And how do you feel about that, by the way? That's the last question
Yep,
before we
it's
wrap it
fine.
up. How do you feel
Yep,
about the
yep.
whole FTX stuff?
FTX thing, well, it's complicated. Well, there's a lot of buts in here. So as far as the FTX, as far as any of the YouTubers and stuff who will, as far as FTX itself, never touched it and anything like that. Like whenever I listen to the YouTuber, especially those bring up, and now for a word from our sponsors, I just skip to the end of the sponsor and keep going on. Not all YouTubers, like, but definitely them.
Yeah.
But as far as the FTX thing itself, if like I can understand why they did it, because that's that's a lot of money. Like that's a lot of money. Like some of them are off for $100,000 depending on how famous they were. I can understand why they took why they did it. I don't think any of them like I don't think any of them like intentionally wanted to screw people over, because even if we think that they're being completely selfish, like the idea of that going south, and then having that screw over other sponsors from looking at them, and further deals with them, now that they think that their customers don't want to buy their sponsors anymore. Yeah, so I don't think any of them intentionally did. I just thought they were very, I don't know, I guess greedy slash stupid. and it kind of got ahead of them. That being said, though, I mean, when I bought Jeremy's course, that was me. That was my decision. So I bought that, and whether I liked it, whether I didn't like it, whether it was a good thing, like that was my decision to make. So anyone who like clicked on their links and bought FTX, I mean, the customers have to, the viewers who did that, like they have to share at least part of the blame. So I think it's a bit complicated, and I think that all parties, those who clicked on the links, the financial YouTubers out there who showed it, spectators, I think everyone has something to learn from this.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel too. So,
Yeah.
and I was going back and forth with my buddies on that because I feel the same way. I don't think they were intentionally. I think some of them were just greedy savages. It was a
Yeah.
lot of money, and they didn't think
Yeah.
it was gonna go further. And then the fact that they probably were like, "This is really good money," and just didn't bother looking any deeper into it. But it
Yep.
also has played that these folks that you put at this high pedestal, they clearly
Yep.
don't know as much as you thought they did. So,
Yep.
this is what it is. Well, listen, Matt, thank you so much for coming on my channel. I really appreciate it, man. Again, everyone,
Yep.
check out Stock Overflow. Very
Mhm.
transparent. How many times do you drop a video a week?
I tried to show my portfolio at least once a week, and then as I have ideas and time, I will drop videos. I try to do at least 2 videos a week. If I'm feeling very inspired, I'll do 3 videos a week, but at least one video a week. Portfolio at the end of every week, so Friday or Saturday of each week.
All right, awesome. So once again, everyone, please support this brother because he also has a small channel just like me,
Yep.
and I'm trying to help other people. If I like them, obviously I bring them on my channel. You guys have noticed I've been bringing a lot of smaller YouTubers on my channel because, believe it or not, that's really where I feel like you get probably better value and better information with smaller
Absolutely.
YouTube channels
Yep.
than these bigger ones. Because in the end of the day, really, it's entertainment, and I
Mhm.
know YouTube likes to push certain content creators in the front that talk about certain stocks,
Yeah.
but try to look for the smaller ones, the ones that have good information. Just go through their content. And again, I like your channel. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yep.
Until next time, y'all. Peace out.